And it looks like it is actually recording. Excellent. All right.
Okay. Should we do one more restart, or you feel like you're
No,
ready to go?
I think we're ready to go right here.
Okay, carry on.
And so this will be the first recording of the observational healing YouTube channel. And the reason that it is actually taking place is because of my childhood friend S, who who has watched some videos I've done on Brian Trukowski's channel on healing, and S said something like, as a newbie to this whole energy healing process, uh, could you make a video that had a little more detail? Kind of explaining maybe when I'm setting up a field who these beings are. And for the most part, that's what I'm going to do in this video. And it'll be my first video on my YouTube channel, which my stepdaughter set up for me this morning. Um, so here's a person who's really kind of electronically dysfunctional, but does have his own YouTube channel. So it's a beginning, and we'll see where it goes. So when I set up a healing field, so I do healing work over the phone with people, kind of all over the world, really. Um, and I set up a field where I call in other dimensional beings, all fifth dimension and above, who hold an energetic for the person or myself. My kind of job in the healing session is to ground the energy, which I do through what's called the field of relationship. So the field of relationship is the field between myself and the client. The client has their own field. I don't enter that field. I have my own field. I don't have people enter that field. But we interact with each other. So I interact with my client through a field of relationship that's off to the left side. And then grounding is the process of taking energy that feels disturbed or upsetting. It could be just old emotions that are coming up. Typical ones are anger, fear, and grief. Those are kind of the big three. And they show up in, those three show up in almost every healing field that we do. So I ground those. There's grounding chakras in the bottom of the feet, kind of in the arch of the foot. And I ground feelings of disturbance through my feet for the client as they release these disturbing energies from unresolved events. So that seems pretty clear to me, and hopefully to you as well. And hopefully especially to S, who is just kind of keenly interested in these things right now. So, in setting up the field, I start off by saying I choose to set up a healing field for, and then just because he suggested it, I'm going to set up a healing field for S. And then I ask that all S's helpers and guides please be present within the field. And so each of us has helpers and guides from other dimensions. We have a higher self. We have an inner self. We have a soul group. We have all sorts of beings that kind of from another level are watching what we're doing here. And when we ask for it, giving us support in terms of continuing to do what we might call our soul work, which is the work we came here to do. And we're making that up as we're making everything up. And so that's just what I'm making up, and you might make that up as well. So now we're making up a healing field for S. So we've called in his helpers and guides. Then next I call in my helpers and guides. And next I call in Saint Germain. Now Saint Germain is many of these beings, you can just Google them and they'll show up. So I'm just going to suggest you Google Saint Germain, read what you do about this being. There's people who channel Saint Germain. There's all sorts of information on the internet about Saint Germain. Saint Germain just showed up in the early part of this work back in 2013 when I was working with some energies that were coming into the earth, and and it was kind of difficult to ground them, and so Saint Germain offered his help. So that's Saint Germain. Metatron is an archangel, and again, Metatron, apparently a lot of people on the internet channel Metatron. Anyway, Metatron showed up early on to hold space for this healing work, as well as I've had a lot of interaction with Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin, I don't really, I haven't, I've just had interaction with this being Kuan Yin. Kuan, so just go to the internet, Google Kuan Yin. Master Mo is a being that appears like a cat, and Master Mo sits at the right side of Kuan Yin. And one thing S was asking is like why my hands would move around, because the beings that come in a geometric pattern. So on the in setting up the field, um, part that I already forgot, but I usually remember when I'm setting up the field. But we asked that the Brotherhood of Light come in, that the um, Deva of Healing come in, Pan of Nature come in, Sisterhood of Light come in, and then um, S's helpers and guides, my helpers and guides, Saint Germain, Metatron, Kuan Yin. We've gone over. Master Mo is uh, a master being that appears as a cat. That's just the way it is. And then Master Kun Li, who again, I think is Kunley, and he's also a Buddhist character who is just fun and helps a lot in having healing be fun. And then there's the Christ consciousness, which is just the consciousness of the Christ, just the being that also is known in other names like as Yeshua or Jesus or whatever. But that being, that larger consciousness of a being, actually holds the whole space for, as well as others for the healing, observational healing work. So we call in the Christ consciousness, and then the holders of space are I probably should have written this stuff down so it'd be clear to me as I was describing it to you, but ascended masters, the ascended masters, those are the holders of space. I just refer to them as the holders of space, but those are ascended masters. Sanat Kumara, again, you can probably Google Sanat. I think Kamara, but Sanat Kumara, you'll be able to find it. There's probably people that channel Sanat Kumara, but he's an overseer of this planetary system. He's kind of like, high level management. And then Abrahamanad is the soul of the earth. Abrahamanad came in 1997 to be the soul of the earth for the next 13,000 years. Abrahamanad, I had a conversation with him. It truly went like this, because I was one of 4 people on earth helping Abrahamanad to incarnate on March 22nd, 23rd, 1997. And when Abrahamanad came into the earth, I said, "My name's Steve McLean. I live in Ann Arbor." And Abrahamanad came to a stop, turned around, and said, I'm very aware of who you are." And he said, "So the next 28 years is going to be a process. 7 years physical healing, shift, change. 7 years mental healing, shift, change. 7 years emotional healing shift change, 7 years of spiritual healing shift change. So the spiritual is 2018 to 2025. So on March 23rd, 2025, we will be completing the 28-year cycle that Abrahamanad set in motion in 1997. And then I was right there at the very start. I was a little clueless, and I'd been trained for a year. I really didn't know what was going on at the time, and I kind of understand it a little better now. And the last 7 years spiritual cleansing has been slightly rough, personally, and other people have said the same thing. So Sanat Kumara, that's Abrahamanad. Then Alcazar is a being that I actually was introduced to, um, who is channeled by a man in Mount Shasta, I think, named Prajit, or Pragit, I don't know how you say it. But anyway, Alcazar is another high level being who um, I asked if he would just come in and assist in this healing process, and so he does. I don't have a lot of interaction with any of them. Okay, so then the next being is, I call in, as I asked that the interdimensional being come in. The interdimensional being is, we're in a 12-dimensional space, from what I understand, and there are other spaces that have different dimensional realities, and there is a being who is between this 12-dimensional space and another dimensional space, and so he's an interdimensional being, and he's actually helping to bring some energetics in that are part of this rising awareness of consciousness on the planet. And so anyway, he's been around for about a year only. He's kind of one of the new people, but new beings, but he's probably not. I don't think anybody's new. They're just new to our consciousness. So for us, all these people are new to his consciousness. So then I asked that Thoth be present, and I think Thoth, and that Ra be present, and I think Thoth and Ra are Egyptian gods. Yeah, but anyway, you can look up Thoth and Ra and read about them on the internet. I don't know what they'll say, but they actually, yeah, they participate in the healing sessions. And then there's the higher self. We ask the higher self please be present, and we ask that our soul ray group please be present, or our soul group. It's kind of the same thing. Okay, then in the next part of the process, we ask that we be placed in a field of protection while we do this work. So if S and I are doing this work at this moment, then we're putting this field of protection around he and I. And then we ask the higher self to take us through the portal of time to the event. The event's always off to the right, almost always off to the right. And so we go back to the event that's in the past. How far in the past? It could be pretty far. But we go back to this past event, and that would be of the highest good, release and integrate at this time. And we connect with that field. That can be very disturbing. It's an event that's unresolved, which means that there was some trauma associated with it, and there's going to be anger, grief, and fear that's going to come off the event. So we may be aware of those feelings. If you see some of my other videos on Brian's channel, you'll see actually, sometimes you start to, go into like the fight or flight energy. You'll actually see that. I've done, I think, 2 healing videos with Brian, who's just wonderful to do healing work with because he's so expressive. So, you see this stuff happening in his face, and you see it release. So we don't have a video of us, but he may be wondering what's going on today, because I didn't actually tell him that I was going to set up a healing field for him. I just thought it would be kind of a holiday present. Hopefully he'll feel like a present. So, yeah, and so then once we're back at the event, we call in all souls. So all these souls are incarnate souls living in bodies on the planet who were injured by this event we're going back to. So I invite all souls who were who would like to release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves. I invite them all back to the event to release and integrate the energy of the event. And I ask that they all be placed in a field of protection while they do their work. And then upon our arrival at that event, I ask the higher self to assist us to release and integrate all energies of the event gently and easily, fully and completely, on all levels and through all space and time. So, if you end up watching this video, you can, when I say I'm choosing to set up a healing field for, you can just say your name. And then that goes into the field, and then the healing field is all pretty much the same, except the helpers and guides will be yours, and the soul ray group will be yours. So that's the only difference. So you can do a healing session for yourself watching this video. So I'll continue, off camera. I'll continue to do this session for S, but now he'll have at least the initial explanation of who these beings are that I call in for a session. So that's it for this one. This one's actually going to go on my recently created channel, which I think is just amazing that this has occurred. I didn't really. I didn't shower this morning, so my hair might be kind of funny, and that's really me. So you're really getting, this is actually how I look, and this is actually the chair I sit in whenever I'm sitting. I sit in another chair at the dinner table, but for the most part, this is the couch that I do a lot of stuff on. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe. I've never liked and subscribed to anything, but maybe now that I have a Google account, I'll be able to like and subscribe. I'll be good. All right, so that's it. Have a very healing day. We're coming up on Festivus, I think on the 24th. I think Festivus is on the 24th, so have a fabulous Festivus. And then any of those other holidays that you choose to celebrate and enjoy, celebrate and enjoy those holidays. And I'll make another video after this. Thank you very much.